I liked this movie, and I don't know what that says about me. It's a Michael Bay movie that I like. Well, I guess I shouldn't be so dramatic because there are actually Michael Bay movies that I like. There was The Rock. Um, well, anyway, so Pain and Gain. From the trailers, I didn't know what to make of this. All I know is that it's based on a true story. And normally for me, if you know me at all, any movie that claims to be based on a true story is usually a good method to immediately turn me off because I hate that crap. Hollywood will always pack in schmaltz and fake into things that are based on a true story. And I get that, they can't keep everything the same, but it's when almost everything. Okay, a perfect example is My Sister's Keeper. If you've ever seen that, that was a very manipulative movie. It was very pull on your heartstrings, like we're trying too hard in a way. Um, it doesn't. It always comes off as false, which is ironic because they're always based on it. They claim to be based on a true story, but they come off as false. So it always bugs me personally. This is a true story that, like, they're being faithful to it, but it you wouldn't think so. But it's because the story that they're basing it on, I actually remember reading about it when it first took place, is so stupid and out there and ridiculous. You can quote me on this. I think Michael Bay was probably the only director that could have pulled this movie off because, again, the events that this movie is based on is so outlandishly stupid. I mean, it's about these guys these bodybuilders who, they kidnap a rich guy and they force him to sign over all of his property and his money and all that, his company over to them. Um, and they, like, in real life, like, they dressed up as ninjas and aliens to kidnap him. They're just the stupidest fucking people. And the movie, and the reason, probably the main reason why Michael Bay was perfect for this movie is because the movie doesn't glorify that in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't make them out to be tragic heroes or sympathetic in any way, shape, or form. These are terrible, moronic people. Like, these are the dumbest fucking people you will ever see. And the movie completely is aware of that. It totally sells them up the river. At one point, one of them is barbecuing hands. And to him, it makes perfect sense. And the movie freezes, and the little title comes up and says, "This is still a true story." And it's that kind of... maybe it's because... No, that's mean. I was going to say... Maybe it's because the subject matter that Michael Bay is dealing with is dumb enough that he can do it well. Because again, I mean, yes, it is making light of something terrible, and these people did awful things. But again, I don't see how you could possibly tell this story any differently. And that's why probably Michael Bay was perfect for this, because it's stupid and outlandish, and it's everything is in excess. Everything, from the character's mentality to just how they look, everything, the world they're in, everything is so over the top. Eventually, I believe his name is Ed Harris. I'm gonna have to look that up. Maybe I'll just put up a picture of his face and just edit that in. I'm kind of he's like, he always plays a really, well, most of the time he's really a good guy, a sympathetic guy, and in this he's the only, like, normal person in the whole movie. So you finally get some grounded reality when he shows up. It almost feels like he's from a different movie altogether. Another thing that keep in mind, this movie was made, Michael Bay made this movie with $20 million. Now, $20 million is not a lot for him. I know it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but let's consider how much the Transformer movie made, the second Transformer movie made, and how much the third Transformer movie made. Add those up, $20 million is like walking around money. So he made this on a very limited budget. He was not doesn't come off as he was in it for the money. And it, as I understand it, the cast kind of did too. Like they took a much lower. They agreed to this on a much lower percentage, much lower pay than. I'm not sure if what was expected or what, but it was very much. It comes off as a passion project because it's not very. I mean, yeah, it is 20 million, but I mean, there's not a whole lot of big set pieces. There's not a whole lot of explosions, and when there are, guess what? There's there's a reason for them. There's a reason for explosions. They're really well done. It's not just random shit going off, and not every character is a comic relief. Which kind of just furthers my suspicion that Michael Bay just doesn't want to make the Transformers movies. Like he just kind of does them to get by, to live by, basically. I think if he has any passion for film, Pain and Gain is the kind of stuff that he wants to do. He likes doing. After the third Transformers, I kind of had this theory that he makes them because people want him to, because well, he probably did the third one out of the contract. But I mean, the reason he keeps agreeing to them, he's coming back and not quitting, is because everyone wants him to do them, and it's he's just not suited for it because he approaches it with a modern day type of vision, and Transformers is a nostalgic type thing, and it doesn't quite fit. So with something like Pain and Gain, he's much more suited, again, because it's a comedy. It's a dark comedy, and there are still some very serious moments. The Rock and Mark Wahlberg have two of the biggest ones. I won't get into too much detail, but everyone is in like full acting like mode. Like everyone's very over the top. That's another thing is excess is the performances. But when Dwayne Johnson and Mark Wahlberg need to, they do ground, or not ground themselves, but I mean when they have to switch from over the top comic to serious. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. It's a very loud truck. When they have to switch from over the top comedy and switch to, you know, kind of a more serious tone, they pull it off pretty well. I don't know what else to say about it, really. I don't know that it needed to be quite as long as it did. It started to drag a little bit in the last 10, 15 minutes. Some of the dumber moments happened in like the epilogue, but I mean that's nitpicking. Now I'm not saying Pain and Gain is fantastic. I'm not saying that it's like one of the best movies of the year, but considering what I had expected going into it, which was not a lot, because I didn't know what to pull from the trailers really. Considering what I went into it with expecting, I'm surprised. I enjoyed myself quite a bit at Pain and Gain. I'm not even ashamed of it. Not at all, and you shouldn't be either. It's a very interesting watch for sure, because again, it was based on a true thing, and yeah, as long as you are aware going into it, like the movie knows how stupid this is, how dumb the characters are, how horrible they all are, and how you should not fashion yourself after them in any way, shape, or form. And I think that's underlying, like, kind of the message. If there is any kind of a message to it all, it's just look at, like, just point at kind of a exploitative kind of viewpoint, like almost like a reality show, but longer and not scripted. So that's what I got for Pain and Gain. I'd say go see it, cautiously. Not everyone's gonna get into the dark, gross comedy of it. And the characters are grating, I'll give you that. I mean, that's the point, and it succeeds, but the risk you run with writing I can't talk. The risk that you run with writing a very grating, irritating character is that they are going to genuinely irritate you into and not enjoying the movie. You have to kind of ride that line, which I think this does. It does actually approach that. It does cautiously approach that. I'd say give it a watch, for sure. Definitely, at least when it comes out on Netflix or DVD or something, I'd sit down and give it a watch. I would recommend it for theater, I guess. It doesn't. I can't really think of anything that could have been fixed, except maybe the runtime, I guess. Yeah, that's Pain and Gain. I was surprised. You might be too if you give it a shot. So I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys.